Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining me. I'm going to talk about sustainability strategies for future-ready businesses. Now, sustainability is such a vast topic, so to cram it into 20 minutes is quite a challenge, but I will do my best. If there's anything that you don't understand, please visit us. We are on the stand behind you, stand 35. Before I kick off, I just wanted to give a brief introduction to myself. Sustainability is such a buzzword and a buzz sector, so there are a lot of people that come into this as experts, but I wanted to give you my background so it gave you some confidence in what I'm talking about. So I started off at the Ministry of Defence for 6 years before moving to an energy consultancy where I was an accredited engineer under the Carbon Trust. I then worked for Schneider Electric for 11 years, and I moved to Australia and set up their engineering and sustainability team. I then came back to Europe and was appointed Sustainability Director over EMEA, and then Global Sustainability Director. 4 years ago, I joined Brownlow Utilities, back on a national scale now, accredited ESOS Lead Assessor, and I am now the Managing Director. When we look at the why do we do this? We have a real passion for helping our clients with regards to energy efficiency, sustainability and legislation. They have enough to worry about in producing the products they set up in business to produce. So we try and take part of this headache away. As with everything nowadays, it's ever evolving. So it's moving and changing. New legislation comes along all of the time at a rapid rate. So we understand the dynamics both on a global and national scale and how that could impact businesses. We help them to address the challenges, implement the solutions and manage the changes. But I think more importantly is to ensure that they are compliant and remain competitive. The sustainability landscape, as I mentioned, is quite vast. So one of the questions I get asked quite a lot, quite controversially, if you believe in climate change. And what I say to my clients is it doesn't really matter about your beliefs of whether climate change exists, is real or not. What is real is that businesses across the world do believe in becoming sustainable because it's good business sense. The dictionary definition of sustainability is having the ability to support your business continuously over time, and I think that's the most important part of this. What sustainability conscious businesses find is it drives competition. So when you're going up to win new work against your competitors, if you have a good handle on your carbon footprint and you're actively looking to reduce it, you're more likely to win that work. Same with regards to legislation. As we've heard from all the talks today, this is evolving at such a rate. The UK has a net zero target of 2050, and the pressure on businesses is greater than ever. Also, new employees, what I've found through working across the globe is the next generation, those that are coming into this industry, care about the earth, and they will actively Google a business before even applying to a job there to understand their sustainability credentials. And the base reason is a leaner business. We've heard today a lot about the products that are on offer, how they can save product time, save you energy. Sustainability is another one of those. Reducing your energy, reducing your money, but then reporting on the carbon outputs is just common sense for businesses. COP30 is happening next month, so this is where the world leaders talk about all of this. What they have said is that we are not on track. What that then transpires is more pressure on businesses to do more. So this is what we keep abreast and try and inform our clients on. The energy and sustainability landscape continues to evolve at a pace. Just this year, Great British Energy has been formed. The offshore wind growth has continued to grow at a rate. It's now 14%, and is actually now the majority of the supply mix in this country comes from renewables and no longer from fossil fuels. There was a deal struck up with the US over nuclear power. The summer we've just been through was the warmest on record. Fluctuating energy costs, battery storage growth, closure of the last coal plant, China now getting on board and looking to introduce climate change targets, whereas America are going the opposite way. And then for those that are aware of the scope emissions under sustainability currently today under the greenhouse gas protocol are scope 1, 2 and 3, but they are looking at introducing scope 4. This has been muted for a couple of years now, but it's gained quite a lot of traction, and I wouldn't be surprised if this was introduced into law next year. Whilst we talk very much about the environmental bit, because that's what impacts businesses the most and their ability to reduce their environmental footprint, which saves money, there's not to be forgotten that social and governance is now coming more into the mix with regards to sustainability. We recognise the importance of the need to practice what we preach. So at Brownlow Utilities, I'm going to take you through our strategy, if you like, but this is exactly the service that we offer for our clients anyway, so it gives you a good indication. So if I start with environmental, we create a carbon footprint for a business based off their scope 1 and 2 emissions. But more importantly, and as we progress through this, scope 3 is far more important than scope 1 and 2, because over 80% of your carbon footprint lies within your supply chain. The breakdown of our scope emissions can be seen there. So for scope 1, we have business mileage and gas consumption. Scope 2 is your imported energy or steam. And then scope 3 for us, there are 15 categories, but we've limited it to commuting, business mileage and water. And that's because that data is readily available. And I think that's important with all of this. There's no point in going out full tilt and trying to cover all 15 categories when you just simply don't have the data to do so. This is our performance over time, and a quick anecdote from me for our company. We introduced the salary sacrifice electric vehicle schemes because we thought it was the right thing to do from the social aspect. What we quickly realised was that the solar that we have installed on our building wasn't enough capacity for everyone wanting to charge their electric vehicles. So we actually started pulling more energy from the grid, and that was an interesting conversation with my chairman. Ways around that, we can look at working from home. We already have a working from home policy. We could look at battery storage, especially for evening and weekend generation during the summer months. However, the benefit of introducing the electric vehicles was more substantial than the extra we pulled from the grid, in that on our social side of things, we've taken off 11 combustion engines and replaced those with electric vehicles. Out of interest, we are based in the northwest, opposite Haydock Racecourse, and this is where all our employees live. The green pins are those that have taken up the electric vehicle scheme. On the social side of things, I've condensed all of these into one slide. This, for me, is just good business sense if you're trying to grow a business and attract new talent to that business. This is the team just earlier this year in February, where we had a diversity and recharge and reconnect day with yoga. We also have our professional development. So I heard in one of the talks before around a knowledge gap, and that's very true. We've seen it also. So we've created our own Brownlow Academy, whereby we'll take in graduates that have an interest in the energy and sustainability world, and we'll train them for a year in all aspects of our business, and then we hire them in. Today, this has only been going for about 15 months, 16 months, and we've hired 3 people through the academy. Working safety, we undertake a lot of energy audits on businesses' premises, so this is important for our clients. And then obviously the work in the community. We have a great relationship with the Wigan Youth Zone that does great work, and our charity is Alder Hey Children's Hospital. On the governance side of things, the usual stuff for a good business are listed here. Transparency above all, because it's something we truly believe in. We were accredited to ISO 9001 earlier this year, which again backs up what we're all about. And then the emergence of AI technology and how it affects energy usage and saving that is growing at such a pace. On the energy efficiency side of things, this is very basic, but as you've seen here today, all these products are aimed at reducing energy or making a process slicker or faster. One thing to keep in mind when you understand your carbon footprint and you have a target to work to, whether that's the UK 2051 or it's been imposed on you by a supply chain, is things that you can do with regards to energy efficiency. Quick wins, 15% if you've never concentrated on energy efficiency before. We undertake the energy audits. A lot of the technology today, we're hearing that paybacks now are a lot sooner than the 5 years traditionally that companies work to, and that's because of the higher base rate of energy. The important thing about all this is the data. We have software that pulls in this data from a number of sources. So from all the major suppliers via half hourly. We also have relationships with the meter operators, data aggregators and data collectors, and we also have our own sub-metering software where we pull data direct in. I think the main message on this is anything that you change, make sure that you're revisiting it and understanding that it's still working as optimum as it could do. Calibration fades. Just because it's new equipment doesn't mean that it's still operating as it should. Our approach to sustainability for a company is to sit down, understand their energy usage, create a carbon footprint for them, and introduce elements of Scope 3. Sit down and understand what they are planning to do over the next 5, 10, 15 years with regards to business. And then we look to reduce. So our engineers will go onto site and reduce their energy through energy efficiency. What we can't reduce, we will replace with renewable energy. We haven't touched on that. It's such a huge part of sustainability. But there are obvious ways to replace what you're pulling from the grid. Once we've reduced, replaced, we balance the remainder. This is quite controversial. A lot of companies historically went straight for balance and tried to buy the way out of this, and that falls under the term of greenwashing. So in doing it in this way, reducing as much as you can, replacing and then balancing is an appropriate way under the GHG protocol to do it. Once you've done all that and you've got a handle on it, we then can engage with your supply chain. A number of our businesses at the moment, we are engaging with their supply chain. Supply chain is very much on a global scale. So we are dealing with people in as far as Canada and China, Australia, and trying to educate them on what their client is doing. We store all that data in our utility hub, which we can demonstrate over on the stand if you're interested. But what that means, when you have an approach of this magnitude, any new legislation that comes down the line, or if you want to align your target setting to science and set a science-based target, then you are best placed to do so. On the supply chain engagement, the market drivers have been well documented and spoke about today. The business risks also, but there is significant opportunity in doing this. Competitive advantage, efficiency savings, brand reputation and resilience. Our approach to sustainability is vast, it's complex and it's varied. There isn't one size fits all. We've spent years tweaking our service levels. We've broken them into 3. So under our essential service, we create a carbon footprint and elements of Scope 3. The most important part of this is the competitor benchmarking, whereby we will pitch a business against its competition to see how well they are compared and performing against that competition. The next bit, once they understand their carbon footprint, is to apply targets. A lot of businesses now have targets thrust upon them, either by the government or by their supply chain. However, if they haven't yet, setting realistic internal targets is the way to go. And then the third service is around committed, and this is where we align the targets to science, and we can engage with your supply chain. UK legislation that runs parallel with a lot of these services shouldn't be underestimated, and we take care of this on behalf of our businesses, but also to avoid them paying twice for the same service. So if you're large enough to fall under the streamlined energy and carbon reporting, you will already have a Scope 1 and 2 carbon footprint. If you're big enough to fall under the Energy Efficiency Directive throughout Europe, or the Energy Saving Opportunity Scheme in the UK, then it's mandatory to undertake energy audits every 4 years. We will utilise those energy audits when helping you reduce your carbon footprint. Also, on a larger scale, if you report to the Carbon Disclosure Project, the Global Reporting Initiative, or the Forest, Land and Agriculture, whatever it may be, we can utilise that data and help you with your commitments. I suppose the graphic is just saying, wherever you are on that journey, whether it's at the very beginning or towards the end, we can help with your requirements. So I will finish up, just give you a quick overview of Brownlow and why we stand out in the marketplace and winning business off the big players. It's our values. We are pride ourselves on being transparent and trustworthy in the way we operate. We've assembled 40 people of individual experts within the field of energy, sustainability, water, etc. So we truly do offer all services with a degree of confidence. I suppose the only element to take out of that, I'll let you digest it, I won't read through it, is the strong industry and local community partnerships. What we find with the big energy suppliers, if they know a client is being ripped off by another consultant, they will recommend us in to have a word with that client. As I mentioned, we cover everything: energy, sustainability, water and renewables. Some of our clients, you can see there, very much a pan-European, but quickly expanding into a global energy consultancy. And that is me done. Thank you very much for your time.